Desde el inicio de la candidatura de Kamala Harris, los republicanos Donald Trump y la maquinaria de propaganda de Fox News han sido implacables en sus críticas. Inicialmente afirmaron que Harris carecía de políticas sustanciales. En respuesta, ella publicó un conjunto completo de políticas que fueron ampliamente elogiadas. Luego, la queja pasó a ser que no defendía esas políticas en las entrevistas, por lo que realizó varias entrevistas y las acertó absolutamente. Pero la narrativa cambió una vez más. Los partidarios de MAGA argumentaron que esas entrevistas eran demasiado fáciles y estaban llenas de preguntas suaves. Entonces, Harris dio un paso al frente y aceptó entrevistas más duras, incluido un segmento en 60 Minutes y una discusión con Bret Baier. En esas apariciones, no solo desacreditó las mentiras de Donald Trump, sino que también criticó a Baier por sus propias declaraciones engañosas, ofreciendo una refutación magistral a la propaganda proveniente de Fox News. Ahora bien, ¿qué tiene que decir MAGA en respuesta? Absolutamente nada. Kamala Harris ha demostrado constantemente ser una líder excepcional y una candidata formidable en esta carrera, mientras que Donald Trump sigue tambaleándose. Incluso la cadena Fox News, sí, incluso ellos han tenido que admitir que Donald Trump está perdiendo y que Kamala Harris está sobresaliendo. Casi se puede sentir su desesperación, con los presentadores conteniendo las lágrimas mientras informan sobre el declive de Trump, probablemente mientras está haciendo un berrinche en Mar-a-Lago. No puedo esperar a sumergirme en el colapso que ocurrió en Fox después de la impresionante entrevista de Harris. Pero antes de hacerlo, les pido amablemente que le den un me gusta a este video, y si aún no lo han hecho, presionen el botón de suscripción para unirse a la comunidad que estamos construyendo aquí. Realmente significa mucho para mí y hace una gran diferencia. Ahora, como mencioné, vamos a explorar el colapso absoluto de los presentadores de Fox cuando reconocen que Donald Trump está perdiendo esta carrera después de la entrevista de Kamala Harris. Pero primero, escuchemos lo que Pete Piggy tiene que decir sobre los increíbles eventos de esta noche.
I'll say is that, one principle I try to remember that I thought she demonstrated is making sure not to allow them to kind of change the subject or the framing of the question at hand, right? The whole topic there was the fact that a candidate for president and a former U.S. president described the American people, the ones he disagreed with, as the enemy. And it's really important not to allow some sidestepping of that. So, she did that. She also made sure to continue to get her point across even when she was being repeatedly interrupted. As somebody who has a lot of batting practice myself on that network, really proud of how she represented her views, her values, and this ticket in front of a conservative audience. Something I might add, by the way, that is a show of strength. That is the exact opposite of the weakness that Donald Trump has demonstrated by pulling out of going even on CNBC, which is hardly a liberal bastion, or 60 Minutes, where it's customary for both candidates to go on. He's not prepared to go in front of a skeptical, let alone unfriendly audience. She demonstrated the opposite. And remember, this is in keeping with her continued outreach to conservatives. Look at the difference between her making clear that she would include Republicans in her cabinet, campaigning with so many Republicans, principal Republicans, who are for her, versus him referring to Democrats as the enemy.
Pete tiene toda la razón. Donald Trump siempre ha tenido miedo de involucrarse en cualquier situación en la que pudiera enfrentar incluso el más mínimo rechazo. En contraste, Kamala Harris apareció con confianza en Fox News, manejando hábilmente las llamadas preguntas para pillarte de Bret Baier. No eran preguntas difíciles, eran solo preguntas típicas de un periodista, y aún así, Harris las rechazó de manera efectiva, mostrando su visión política progresista, como siempre hace, algo de lo que Trump parece absolutamente incapaz. Ahora bien, si bien profundizaremos en la reacción de MAGA a la entrevista de Harris en breve, es esencial considerar también la respuesta a la propia aparición de Trump en Fox hoy temprano, en particular durante su town hall centrado en los problemas de las mujeres. Jessica Tarloff proporcionó un análisis convincente de sus comentarios, que creo que merece atención.
There are other women at the table.
What were you offended by? Let's hear it.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you asked. I was offended by him calling himself the father of IVF and then saying that Senator Katie Britt is young and fantastically attractive, as if that's relevant at all to her concerns about her friends who have used fertility treatments in order to become pregnant. I was offended by the fact that he was asked by a voter, why is the government involved in women's basic rights? And he answered with saying, I think it's great. For 52 years, all the legal scholars, the best legal scholars, Democrats, Republicans, both of them, have wanted to get rid of it. And that's what I've done here. That is not at all how the legal scholars feel or how the American populace feels. And to the questions about lowering the prices of things, again, no real answer. I'm glad I know more about how donuts are made or whatever was going on there. But I don't think anyone walked away from that thinking that he had any sort of empathy for what's going on in women's lives all over the country. I mean, he kicked it off actually by kind of laughing at the Amber Thurman story. There was, Harris brought up that the family had put out a prebuttal, and he laughs and he says, we're going to have higher ratings, which seems pretty cruel. You could use that moment to say, I am so sorry that that young woman, a mother of a 6-year-old boy, lost her life.
El contraste entre estos candidatos no podría ser más claro, por lo que incluso algunos presentadores de Fox afines a MAGA están empezando a reconocer que Donald Trump está perdiendo. Kamala Harris dominó por completo esta noche, y es bastante divertido presenciar la decepción en sus rostros, especialmente en el de Dana Perino. Están visiblemente molestos por tener que admitir la verdad. Harris está teniendo un desempeño excepcional. Echemos un vistazo a algunos presentadores de Fox que lo han admitido abiertamente.
At times, especially when she was trying to go after Donald Trump, she was fairly effective in that to try to get her point of view across.
You did a great job because you asked the tough questions and you went back at her with tough questions, and she should be pleased with how she performed this evening.
Well, she was combative and energetic, and she certainly landed some blows on Donald Trump.
No es frecuente que escuchemos la verdad de boca de la maquinaria propagandística de Fox, pero cuando la escuchamos de boca de una abatida Dana Perino, nos sentimos aún más satisfechos. Kamala Harris arrasó en su entrevista de esta noche. Estuvo fenomenal. Pete nos dio un adelanto de eso antes, pero él tenía algunas reflexiones más que fueron particularmente interesantes y reveladoras sobre la actuación de Harris. Además, incluso le lanzó un golpe a Donald Trump, que definitivamente vale la pena ver.
It was really impressive on her part. She was tough, smart, focused, disciplined, the same qualities that made her a very effective prosecutor, and I think are going to make her a very effective president. And she did it in territory that's obviously not ideologically friendly. I think she'd have many reasons to think twice about whether she was going to get fair treatment on Fox News. But even as they were interrupting her, preventing her from speaking, she got her point across, and she called out things like that moment, that exchange that we just saw, where they attempted to sidestep the shocking fact of someone wanting to be president, calling Americans the enemy from within. And I think it's especially appropriate, actually, for her to do that on Fox, because, you know, when I think about conservatives, Republicans that I know, one of the things that's that I'm most sympathetic to about what sincere conservatives care about is a passion for liberty and a real concern about making sure that liberty is protected. Now, I disagree with a lot of Republican friends who think that, you know, that goes so far that, you know, enforcing the Clean Water Act isn't something we should do because it just might impinge on liberty. But these are the exact folks who need to be reminded about the implications for a freedom-loving country if the next president of the United States is somebody who has flirted with, more than flirted with, talked about turning the military on American citizens who he disagrees with politically. And I think there are a lot of folks at home, maybe conservative, Republicans, or independents who lean right, who are thinking to themselves, you know, if you've got a friend or a coworker or a daughter who is more politically to the left than you are, is she going to be safe in a country where the president of the United States calls her the enemy?
¿Hay alguien mejor que Pete Buttigieg? Hizo un trabajo increíble al criticar a Donald Trump y brindar un análisis impresionante de la actuación de Kamala Harris esta noche, lo cual me pareció realmente notable. En contraste, pensé que la cobertura de Brett Baer fue un trabajo completamente chapucero. Muchos lo consideran un periodista legítimo de Fox y afirman que es diferente de Sean Hannity o Jesse Waters. Pero para mí, parecía simplemente otra cara con una voz diferente, haciendo las mismas preguntas sorprendentes y perpetuando las mismas mentiras escandalosas para Donald Trump. Un momento notable fue cuando intentó tergiversar los comentarios de Trump sobre enemigos internos, que absolutamente debemos desafiar. Hablando de desafíos, Kamala Harris abordó este tema en un discurso el día de hoy, y creo que deberíamos echar un vistazo a lo que dijo.
He considers any American who doesn't support him or bend to his will to be an enemy to our country. And further, he says that as commander-in-chief, he would use our military to go after them. Honestly, let that sink in. Use of the American military to go after American citizens? And we know who he would target first, because he has targeted them and attacked them before. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Nonpartisan election officials who refuse to cheat by finding extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of following him.
Por mucho que los partidarios de MAGA quieran distanciarse de él, y por mucho que intenten editar selectivamente sus comentarios, Donald Trump ha sido claro acerca de sus intenciones. Quiere apuntar a sus enemigos políticos. Esta no es una agenda nueva. La intentó durante sus campañas en 2016, 2017, 2018, 2020 y 2021. No podemos olvidar los eventos del 6 de enero, que ejemplifican esta mentalidad, y parece dispuesto a intentarlo nuevamente. En este programa, a menudo decimos que Donald Trump es un mentiroso patológico en quien no podemos confiar, excepto en esos raros momentos en que revela verdades que en última instancia lo perjudican. Esos casos son cuando podemos creerle. Cuando reconoce sin darse cuenta su papel en la anulación del fallo Roe contra Wade, expresa su deseo de ser un dictador desde el primer día, o declara abiertamente su intención de perseguir a sus oponentes políticos, está revelando una verdad aterradora. Esta es la realidad que debemos evitar que se haga realidad.